What's up, y'all? So I'm back again, and we're going to talk about that topic again. And the reason I'm doing this, and I keep making separate forms of this, is because I think this is, I'm kind of taking this from TikTok. Like, TikTok is really cool because when somebody makes a comment, you could literally reply to their comment and make a whole new video, and it shows their comment. So I'm kind of doing it the same type of way, kind of replying to some comments on here. And disclaimer, no, I have my beliefs. I do feel like some of the people that are making comments on here are wrong, but that's just my opinion. That doesn't mean I'm right. But I do want to address some of the questions and some of the opinions on here because maybe we can clear things up a little bit or come to an agreement, or if not, no big deal, that's fine. But I do like having these discussions. I like talking about these topics and having open discussion to talk about bowling and just talk about the things that are changing and stuff. One of the first comments here that I saw was from Frank. He says, "Oh, I just looked it up. Thank God, it will not affect non-tour players, but it does apply to regionals and PBA 50." See, I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to look that up. Not that I don't trust you, but I didn't know that. I thought it was just the PBA tour, the national tour. I kind of hope you're wrong. I hope it just kind of trickles down eventually. But then again, I'm not that big. It's not that big a deal. I do feel like the wrist guards are. And one thing to clear up. Let's make sure people know this, and I'll put a picture on the screen or something. Not all wrist guards are banned. It's just the ones that are locking your hand into a position and can be adjusted and all that. So those big clunkers are banned. And then even I'm fairly certain the Robbies with the metal in them, because they keep your wrist straight, are banned as well. But for those people who have wrist issues and wrist pain, you don't need the big clunker to get rid of the wrist pain. You just need a wrist wrap to tighten the ligaments and everything in there. If you need a big clunker to keep your wrist in a certain position to keep the pain out, you're probably doing more damage to yourself by continuing to do that. So you shouldn't be bowling anyway. And that's not to say that anybody should quit bowling or anything like that. I'm just saying, A, it's doing damage, and B, without the technique there, you're not going to be able to bowl in these events anyway, or at least not have much success, in my opinion. So I don't. I think this is, if it does affect the PBA 50, it's going to affect a few more guys there. It's not going to affect anybody on the national tour. So no big deal as far as that goes. So I understand why people are kind of confused and not sure why they're saying this. But anyway, he says it does affect the PBA 50 and PBA regional tour. But it does not apply to the women's PBA unless they are bowling in events essentially with the men. Right, so not the PWBA, because that's USBC. Basically, team and doubles events with PBA players, i.e. the men. The whole rule is fairly as stupid as not being able to clean your ball, and I do disagree with JR. Tape should be eliminated as well then. Tape does change your release. It can change your release if used properly. But again, it's a technique. Putting the tape in properly is a knowledge. It's a technique, so it helps your technique, but it doesn't force your hand or anything into a certain position. So I understand where you're coming with that, and the same thing with grips, like I said before. I just disagree. Tape is just something that, changes the size of a hole. It doesn't put your body or your hand in a specific position. It doesn't lock. It's not a device that locks you into certain positions. It's the same thing like with the knee braces. When somebody said that they thought maybe we should just get rid of the knee braces too. Well, again, it doesn't lock your knee into a certain position that is beneficial to your game. Tape doesn't lock your hand in a position that's beneficial to gaining technique, to gaining better form. That's just not how it works, So I disagree there. The irony here is that bowling is so dependent on technology, yet a wrist device is probably at the very bottom of the list of items that actually impacts anyone's game. The rule is totally nonsensical. See, and again, I disagree with that too, because it's nonsensical to think that since anybody can use it, then it's obviously not that big of an advantage because nobody's using it. The problem with them, again, like I said, is it can take a 180 average bowler and make them a 200 average bowler, and increase their rev rate from, let's call it 150 to 200, because it increases your technique. It immediately improves your technique. Now, most people above that understand technique and can do the things that need to be done. So it actually hinders you after a certain point. Once you get your rev rate up to a certain point, to get any higher, it requires no wrist brace, because then you have to be able to uncup and cup and use the elbow action and everything in between there. So a wrist brace actually can hinder your ability to create rev rate after a certain point. But it's that initial boost that it can give somebody to level the playing field, going from no technique to all of a sudden now, by putting a gadget on your arm, you have much better technique, staying under the ball, staying through it, not breaking your wrist back. That's where the problem is it improves your technique. It makes you automatically more consistent, because the change is non-existent at the bottom of the swing with your hand being locked into place. That's the difference there. Let's see what we got here. Deca Dude is pretty active on here most times, commenting quite a bit. He says, if all of what a restrictive brace can do is take an under-average release and make it an average release, then the only way it gives an advantage is if you are below average. Well, how many bowlers on the national tour are below average? Again, I think we're missing the point here. It's not necessarily to say that, it's affecting anybody on the national tour. I think it's a good rule that will help young people or aspiring bowlers to learn better technique, rather than look at a device or look for a device to get better. Again, just like other sports, you're not allowed to have anything that improves your technique on your body, or you are not allowed to use any of those types of things. It's kind of like golf. They got rid of the grooves because it improved your technique of spinning. So by buying a club that had deeper grooves, all of a sudden you could spin the ball just as much as somebody who has good technique, who knows how to spin the ball without the grooves. So you can't have these things there to improve your technique and skill, because then it takes away the integrity of the sport at that point. Extremely few, if any at all. Since you said it doesn't make an above average release, I still see no reason to ban it. Again, I just explained that. Even still, you can replace the effects of the restrictive brace without actually using one, which would make this pointless anyway. I still personally disagree with this. I mean, again, I just explained it to you. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Try to get to where we can be on the same page a little bit. I mean, you may not agree, and that's fine. We don't have to agree on this. I think we should have some tournaments, local and PBA, where we can throw urethane at. That would make a challenge. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yes, please. I just got a new span on my ball, and I feel like I am relearning to bowl. I figure let me move away from the wrist guard and learn at the same time, so videos about this would be great. I'll never go pro, but I do want to enter tournaments. Yeah, see, good mindset. I like that. And I will. I'm going to now, especially since this, I'm going to be teaching people, and I'll probably put a clinic, like I said before, I'll put a clinic together that will teach the release and teach this for those who you were using wrist braces and need to learn and understand the technique, so that way they can go compete at a higher level. All right. I don't know if I come across anything else. I'll pop back on and do another video, but I hope that explains a couple of things, and I'm sure I'll be back again. We'll see you guys later.